Okay, you guys, so I was gonna wait till tomorrow's hoarding up video to talk about this, but this is a big deal to me that I feel like I owe it to create an entire video dedicated to this man. Robin Williams passed away this morning at the age of 63, and they're saying it was a suicide. Um, I just I I was at work when I found this out, and I have been pretty much speechless since then. Robin Williams, I'm not gonna try to lie here and say Robin Williams is my favorite actor of all time or anything. He's definitely in the top five, but he's not my number one. And I'm not saying the dude doesn't have talent because literally I am tipping my hat off to him and I have a hell of a lot of respect for him. I grew up with Robin Williams. You know, Aladdin, Flubber, Jumanji, Mrs. Doubtfire. The list goes on and on and on. And you know, it, he was one of the funniest. This is the truth. I'm not just saying that because he passed away. He was literally one of the funniest actors and comedians that ever existed. He changed, comedian history, in my opinion. So, and, he's the star of my all time favorite comedy film, Mrs. Doubtfire. It came out in 1990, I think 2 or 3. I think I'm pretty sure it was 93. And I was born in 92. And, so I grew up with Mrs. Doubtfire and everything else, like I said. But Mrs. Doubtfire was just something that, you know, that stuck with me, and even watching as an adult, I still laugh every time I watch it. And I'm taking a break from watching it right now just so I can do this video because I got home from work, I immediately popped Mrs. Doubtfire in, and it's just I don't even know what to say. This guy, man, I it was such a shock too, because I figured, everyone has their time. Everyone is gonna die at some point. I'm gonna die. You're gonna die. Everybody's gonna die at some point. But I figured I did not expect it to be this soon, and because of this reason. He's had heart problems before. He's had surgeries on his heart. I always felt like he was gonna die because of his heart finally giving out or something like that. That's what I thought he was gonna go with. And no, it turns out apparently it was a suicide. I mean, they don't really know much right now, at least, and if they do, they're not telling us much. Um, but we do know that he's been really, really, really depressed for a while now. And the only logical thing I come up with, some people are saying that he hung himself. I don't know how true that is. I don't think that's the case. At least I'd like to think that that's not the case. I could be totally wrong, and that could be what happened. I don't know, but I'm really hoping that that's not the case. My guess is because he's so depressed that he just took maybe he was taking antidepressants or something, and maybe he just took too many. Either it was intentional or unintentionally. Maybe that's what happened, and they're looking at it as a suicide. Well, he purposely took too many. Well, maybe that's the case. I have no idea, but I don't want to spend too much time talking about his actual death. I want to talk about the things that I'm going to remember him most for, and hopefully what a lot of us are going to remember him most for. First of all, his stand-up comedy was genius. I watched. I think it was called his live on Robin Williams live on Broadway, and I don't have HBO or anything like that. I mean, I used to, but I don't now. The first time I saw it was on YouTube. They have, I'm sure it's still up on YouTube right now. Go to the search bar, type in Robin Williams live on Broadway. It's a comedy special. It's about maybe an hour and like 15 minutes, an hour and a half long, something like that. And he's fucking funny. That's the first time I watched that, and it's just crazy. This guy has done everything from doing Disney animation with Aladdin to up thrillers like 1 Hour Photo, which is probably his most underrated movie in my opinion. That's the one that's probably my second favorite Robin Williams role, actually, is 1 Hour Photo. And not many people seen it or even heard of it. So this guy was a legitimate actor. I mean, he's going to be remembered for his comedy, but we can't forget that he's done dramatic roles. Dead Poet Society, you know, Oh Captain, My Captain. Um, yeah, Good Will Hunting's another good example. I mean, this guy he does serious and comedic roles, and yeah, I grew up on this guy. Flubber's another one. Hook. I mean, this dude really, really, had an impact on me loving film as much as I do now. And I kind of wrote something down. This has nothing to do with Robin Williams. You guys remember, the scene from Mr. Deeds with Adam Sandler, where they were at Mr. Deeds' uncle's funeral and they're reading off those poems and stuff. Well, I kind of wrote those down to try to kind of not saying that none of this is funny or anything like that. I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression. This isn't a funny situation at all. I'm just trying to cheer people up. I'm basically trying to cheer myself up. I'm being selfish like that and trying to cheer myself up. But I'm hoping this kind of cheers you up a little bit, kind of help you get through the rest of your day. Cause okay, I don't get before I go and read that. I don't get too emotional or it doesn't have a huge impact to me when actors die normally. I mean, I do for certain ones here and there, but people die all the time, and some reason it's natural causes. Sometimes it's because of like drug overdose or alcoholism, something like that. It's different reasons. I usually don't get too choked up about it, but Robin Williams, again, the star of my all-time favorite comedy, I grew up with this guy. Um, this is just it's great. I think people were talking about Paul Walker a lot. People were talking about Harold Ramis a lot, and respectively so. But I don't think I've seen as many people talk about an actor's death in a long time like they have today with Robin Williams. That's how much he's had an impact on all of us. Because Paul Walker was a good actor. People liked him. I personally wasn't too big on Paul Walker's stuff. For the most part, he's done some good stuff, but we're not talking about Paul Walker. Same thing. Harold Ramis. A lot more people are talking about Harold Ramis than they were about Paul Walker, and now Robin Williams is being talked about the most I've seen talked about in a very long time. So that tells you that this guy has an impact on not just my life, but a lot of people's lives. So this is, I'm going to tell you my favorite Robin Williams movie. I said Mrs. Doubtfire, but it's closely followed by 1 Hour Photo, which, again, if you guys haven't seen 1 Hour Photo, go check it out. Dead Poet Society is up there. Jumanji, Flubber, Hook, Aladdin, even Happy Feet. I like the first Happy Feet for what it is. Wasn't too big on the second one, but Happy Feet, this guy can do voices and stuff. He's a really good guy, and I never had the chance to meet him, but I haven't really met anybody. But still, this was, again, one of my top 5 favorite actors of all time. And I never got to meet him. I never got to say I watched Mrs. Doubtfire religiously. Nothing like that. I never got to have a conversation with this guy, take a picture with him, nothing. And I believe that he was genuinely a good guy, too, because even when he was struggling with his alcoholism and, stuff like that, when he was having his heart surgery, and get the hell out of my camera, the fly. There was a fly going in my camera. And, even all that, he would joke about those serious situations. It showed that even in serious situations, he can have a sense of humor and make us all laugh. So, I don't know. So, yeah. I'm going to read this. Hopefully it cheers some of you up. Kind of, because, everyone's down in the dumps today. And, like I said, I found out about it at work. And I was just silent for a long time. I'm not going to lie, I got a few tears out. Actually, I got a lot of tears out, and I don't do that a lot. hardly ever, especially when an actor dies. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, they did good stuff. That sucks. I move on. Robin Williams is gonna be hard to move on from. You know. Okay, so like I said, this is the poem from Mr. Deeds when Deeds was at his uncle's funeral, but I kind of changed up the name, put Robin Williams in there. I'm gonna try to read it like Al Sharpton and Adam Sandler read there. So here we go. Now Robin Williams is soaring with eagles so high because he was a super cool guy. He's gone away too soon, it seems, leaving behind his unfinished dreams. Yes, we remember Robin Williams, a man with faith no man could shake, a strength no man could break, a character no man could fake. For goodness sake, let's see some cake. Hello! Oh, I'm sorry to frighten you, dear. I must look like a yeti in this get-up. This is my nightly moraine mask. But as you can see, I can't stay with you, dear. I'm melting like a snow cone in Phoenix, okay? One drop or two. Would you like another one? Oh, there you go. You got your cream and your sugar now. It's a little cappuccino. I wish I had cake on my face when I did that, but I have no cake. All right, move. We're gonna the next part here. We never hung out, and that makes me sad. All the good times we could have had. But when I die, Robin Williams, you better say cheers. 'Cause me and you are hanging at the pearly gates. I'll bring the beers. I'll bring the beers. Hopefully that cheers you up a little bit. It would work a little bit better if I had cake on my face when I did that. But anyway, 1951 to 2014. Robin Williams was 63 years old. I mean, I wasn't really around during the Mork and Mindy days, but I did see most of the reruns that played on the cable TV, and I just thought he was brilliant in that. And I guess that's where he kind of got started at. And yeah, Mork and Mindy, I was entertained by that show. And then he moves on and does Aladdin. I grew up with Aladdin. I was a kid watching Aladdin. I guess the genie is finally free now. So I guess we can say that now. Mrs. Doubtfire, like I said, my favorite comedy. Flubber, I grew up watching. Jumanji, I tried to grow a beard out like Robin Williams had in Jumanji, but didn't really work out like that. It was kind of looking more like a Daniel Bryan type beard, and I just didn't want that. Hook. I mean, Peter Pan, Hook, Dead Poets Society, like I said, oh, Captain, my Captain. I mean, I don't know why I'm just naming off his movies. I guess I really don't know what to say. I'm still speechless, and I'm still in shock. At first, I thought this was a hoax, and then I got the notification from Variety, and I'm like, shit, this is real. This is happening. And I couldn't believe it. And then I went to McDonald's on my lunch break at work today, because like I said, I found out this information while I was at work, and they were talking about it on CNN, and it was hard for me to even finish my meal before I had to get back to work. I mean, it's been a tough day, and I kind of had this feeling something, like I didn't know something was gonna happen like that. I had this weird feeling today, but I didn't really know what it was, so I kind of ignored it. It's like, it's probably just my imagination. But apparently this is what the universe was telling me, that Robin Williams is gone. He's gone. And Night at the Museum. Wasn't too big on the first one. I had a lot more fun with the second one than I did with the first one. And I enjoy the movies for what they are. I just recently watched the trailer when it came out for the third Night at the Museum. And, the third one didn't look all that interesting, but I feel that I owe it to Robin Williams to go to Night at the Museum, Secret of the Tomb on opening night. I feel like I owe Robin Williams at least that much. And, yeah. Mrs. Doubtfire, too. He just signed on to do this movie. 20 years after the first one. They got Chris Columbus back, the original director and the original star of the film. And I was actually one of the people who are kind of interested in seeing Mrs. Doubtfire too. But not now. Not now. I don't want them to do it. I always said that if they did do a Mrs. Doubtfire sequel, I didn't want to. There is there are possibilities to make a good story around that. Even if Sally Field and Matthew Lawrence and Mara Wilson said she was never going to come back anyway. But even without all of them, they could still do a decent story of Mrs. Doubtfire. And I was interested. Chris Columbus is coming back. Robin Williams is coming back. I was actually pretty excited for it, but not now. I don't want it. I don't want Mrs. Doubtfire 2 anymore. And yeah, that's how much, like I said, another impact. Guys, that's all I can say for today. I don't know what else to say. I can't even.